USS Frazier was a Benson-class destroyer in the United States Navy during World War II. She was named for Daniel Frazier, a U.S. Navy sailor who served in the First Barbary War. Frazier was launched the 17th of March 1942 by Bethlehem Steel Corporation, San Francisco, California, sponsored by Mrs. Richard McCulley, and commissioned the 30th of July 1942. Lieutenant Commander Frank Verdon in command. 1942 and 1943. Frazier arrived at Naumet, New Caledonia, the 9th of December 1942 in the escort for a group of troop transports. She served on escort and patrol in the South Pacific for the next 4 months, guarding transports to Guadalcanal, patrolling off Espiritu Santo, and covering escort carriers as they patrolled the waters between Afate and the Solomon Islands. On the 18th of March 1943, Frazier departed Afate bound for Pearl Harbor and a rendezvous with a task force assigned to operate in the Aleutian Islands. After firing in the pre-invasion bombardment, Frazier covered the landings on it to the 11th of May 1943 and patrolled off that island and Kiska, Alaska. On the 12th of May, she sighted 2 periscopes and opened gunfire on I-31, who dived quickly but not before Frazier had scored hits on the periscopes. Immediately gaining sonar contact, the destroyer began a depth-charge attack which brought air bubbles, oil, and debris to the surface. 2 more attacks ensured the submarine was sunk. Early in the foggy morning of the 10th of June, with Lieutenant Commander Elliot M. Brown in command, she made 2 separate attacks on radar contacts which were believed to be submarines. In the second attack, the destroyer's guns fired for 5 minutes as she pursued her target until its radar echo merged with land echo of Kiska. Late that night and again on the morning of the 11th of June, Frazier dropped depth charges on 2 different underwater contacts, but was unable to determine the results of these attacks. It is likely she sank I-9 in one of them. On 2 and the 12th of August, she fired shore bombardment on Kiska, then covered the unopposed landings of the 15th of August. She continued to screen large combatants in the Aleutians until early September, when she began a brief overhaul at Puget Sound. Frazier sailed to Wellington, New Zealand, to join the escort for transports assigned to the Gilbert Islands operation. Between 7 and the 13th of November 1943, the group rehearsed at Afate, then sailed on to Tarawa, where Frazier provided pre-assault bombardment and call fire support to the troops. Landed the 20th of November, patrolling off Besho. On the 22nd of November, Frazier joined Meade in attacking I-35. After the 2 destroyers had depth-charged I-35 to the surface, they attacked it with gunfire, and Frazier finally sent her to the bottom by ramming. Her bow was badly damaged, but none of her men was injured. 2 days later, she sailed for repairs and training at Pearl Harbor. 1944. Frazier sortied from Pearl Harbor the 22nd of January 1944 for the invasion of the Marshall Islands. She bombarded Tarawa and Maloelap on the 30th of January, and next screened San Francisco as the cruiser bombarded targets on Kwajalein, while the landings were made. After patrolling against submarines off Kwajalein, Frazier returned to Pearl Harbor the 15th of February, screening unladen transports. Between the 28th of February and the 20th of March, the destroyer carried out escort and patrol assignments in the Marshalls, then joined the fast carrier task force to screen during the air raids on the Palaus, Jap, Ulithi, and Woolai from the 30th of March to the 1st of April. Returning to Majuro the 6th of April 1944, Frazier sailed a week later with a fast carrier task group for attacks on Wake and Sawar, New Guinea. On 21 and the 22nd of April, in coordination with the landings at Itape and Hollandia, the task group also struck at targets in the Caroline Islands as it sailed back to arrive at Kwajalein the 4th of May. For the 10th of May to the 27th of July, Frazier patrolled the bypassed Japanese-held islands in the Marshalls, which included Wathia, Jaluit, a mill. She bombarded Mill on the 26th of May, and on the 9th of June sent her motor whaleboat in under the guns of Tarawa to rescue 10 survivors of a flying boat previously sent in to rescue a downed aviator and were stranded when the plane was damaged by a shore battery. 2 weeks later she rescued 2 Marine aviators off Mill. A West Coast overhaul and training at Pearl Harbor preceded Frazier's assignment to escort duty out of Ulithi between the 15th of December 1944 and the close of the year. On the 6th of January 1945, the destroyer arrived in San Pedro Bay, from which she sailed the next day for the invasion of Lingayen Gulf. For the day of the landings, the 9th of January, until the 26th of February, Frazier carried out bombardment, gunfire support, patrol, and escort missions all around Luzon, taking part in the bombardment of Corregidor on the 16th of February. After replenishing at San Pedro Bay, Frazier returned to escort and fire support duties in the Manila area, covered the landings at Mindanao in mid-March, and patrolled against submarines between Lingayen Gulf and Subic Bay on the 10th of May, 1945. End of World War II and fate. Sailing from San Pedro Bay the 13th of May 1945, Frazier arrived at Morotai 2 days later, and based here for the Borneo operation. She took part in the invasions of Brunei Bay and Balikpapan, and escorted support convoys to the assault areas until returning to Subic Bay the 29th of July for training. Assigned to the Philippine Sea Frontier for escort duty at the close of the war, she made voyages to Okinawa and Japan until the 3rd of November, when she sailed for Boston, Massachusetts and Charleston, South Carolina. The Frazier was decommissioned and placed in reserve the 15th of April 1946. She was stricken from the Naval Vessel Register on the 1st of July 1971 and sold for scrap on the 6th of October 1972. Awards. Frazier received 12 battle stars for World War II service. As of 2009, no other ship in the United States Navy has been named Frazier.